Well, welcome to a new Harry's Farm video. And if you're wondering what I've driven up in, this is the Ineos Grenadier. And I've had this in for a week to live with it on the farm, as well as doing a Harry's Garage on it. So yeah, you'll be seeing a bit more of this on this channel. I'm going to do a proper review of it, but this one I'm going to concentrate on the crop. It's a month since we last did a farm report, and I was in its exact spot. We looked at the hedge and how that had grown up. You now see it's, full leaf that's grown away, and the oilseed rape almost looks like a crop of oilseed rape. So we're going to have a quick look at that, and then we're going up and have a look at some wheat as well, because over the last month it's just been the most extraordinary sort of growing period. I've disappeared off and did this motorbike thing in Morocco in the desert, and while I was away they had a lot of rain, and when we came back the sun came out and we're finally getting a bit of warmth. There's no word of a drought. This is the complete opposite of a drought. We now have almost excess water. We've almost had mud, but the crops are absolutely loving it. And the oilseed rape, I mean, it has extraordinary powers of regeneration. And you think how awful this crop was, you would never guess looking at it here. I mean, this was a particularly good bit up here. I can't walk into it and take you down it, but you can see all the pod set going on here, and it's looking a very good crop, and it's going to continue flowering because it's under no stress whatsoever in this sort of weather. So I'm really pleased about that, and I can sort of kid myself because it's the same in that field, and that looks full of oilseed rape as well, but I did actually put a drone up because there's no way of walking into it and just see what it actually looked like from a drone, and then I got a little bit depressed because it doesn't look like this across the whole field and it's a bit stunted. But because there's so much moisture here, I'm hoping it's going to do better. I predicted a yield of 25 to 30 tonnes. I've gone to the heady heights of 30-35 tonnes of oilseed rape we're going to get off our 100 acres this year, which is still appalling, but I think there's enough good crop that maybe, just maybe, it'll be slightly better than 25 tonnes. Unfortunately, the downside is the price has just disappeared. I'm going to talk about prices when we get to wheat, but it's less than half the price of what it was this time last year. So yeah, it needs to do as well as it can, but we're going to basically try and spend no money on it at all, because yeah, profitability is going to be very tough to have this year. And it's all really, because of the troubles with this oilseed rape, it's all down to the wheat. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take you up to the wheat because there's been lots going on there as well. If you don't know the Ineos Grenadier, then this is Sir Jim Radcliffe's car that he wanted to buy Defender basically off Jaguar Land Rover when it went out of production. They wouldn't do it. He said, okay, I'll build my own. So this is his sort of original Defender rival that's just come into market. It's been quite a gestation. You just swing round, you have a look inside. It's all sorts of things going on here. I don't get a sort of dials here at all. It's all in this central screen, including speedo and things, and there's lots of buttons. My 5-year-old grandson thinks it's the best car ever because it's even got buttons in the roof. They were all the way up there as well. But I'm going to do a proper review on it. It's a 6-cylinder BMW engine in it. You've got a choice of diesel or petrol, and it has a sort of utilitarian feel, as you would imagine, from a sort of Defender-esque type of car. Anyway, what I want to talk about is the wheat here, and good news is the first button I can do is turn off park assist, so you do not have to have that annoying sound every time a blade of grass goes anywhere near the car, which is quite useful. It's quite a big car, I have to say. It's obviously the 110, so 5-seater version, this one. They're going to do a pickup version as well, and it's all full of sort of, just so you can put sort of kit on it, all these sort of things, all grips here, and these are power outlets for flashy lights. It comes with this snorkel, weighs at 800 mil, so just under a metre. It's quite good. Come around here, you got great big towing eyes on it. And then I have to say the door, I'm not a particular fan of this rear door because it has this awkward sort of little one like that that's almost too small to be any good, and then the big one here that opens to get into the back. I wish the seats folded flat as well. And I seem to remember Isuzu Trooper had a similar door to this, but the big door opened first and then you open the side door. This one is the other way around, and this is just a bit awkward. Anyway, this is not a review on the Grenadier. That will come in a couple of weeks or a week or so. What I want to show you is the wheat, which looks incredibly healthy. So different. We've had these several seasons now of basically drought and crazy sunny weather, and 2023 we have a lot of moisture. And I think the last time I was out here I was saying about all there was actually these spring wild oats, and we've put a spray on for them. You look between the rows like this and you can see there's a lot being got, but unfortunately there's a second flush coming through because of all the rain, so we're going to have to hit those second flush of wild oats again, but that will be probably timed with what we term the flag leaf fungicide. So wheat gets these fungal diseases. Septoria has been the tricky one this year. If I pick one up, let's have a look what I can see. And Septoria is sort of rain splash. Fortunately, there's Septoria just on there. Do you see those sort of brown patches? That's Septoria damage. I think that's Septoria. That has been the main disease, but fortunately there are no rusts. It's quite aggressive on the plant. It's like it gets flu and it gets very unhappy. And yellow rust, brown rust we had quite badly on the wheat variety I grew last year, and this Dawson wheat is pretty resistant to it. But that leaf there, so it's a little bit windy today. If I look at this, that's the main stem after all those tillers. You see how much that has come up, and that leaf there is the final leaf coming up. That is known as the flag leaf. That one there, it's not quite uncurled, and once that is out, then we'll be putting this fungicide on and perhaps having a look at those weeds as well at the same time. I sort of split it last time, see where the ear is. Well, I think I can feel it. Yeah, I think there's the ear just there, I think. So I can open it up. It's really marched on. I think it's only a month since we were last doing this. There it is. Yeah, there's the wheat ear just coming out. Don't need a knife. You can sort of see it there. So that's what we're trying to protect. That ear just coming up the plant there. So it's not far off. That flag leaf will come up, and that will be next through the tube. So what I love is no stress. Sorry, I ought to just look at this again. No stress whatsoever. That leaf is not curling up in the sun. It's not trying to hide itself from the sun. It's in full growth mode. So because there's plenty of moisture reserved, there's plenty of moisture on its roots, and this will look an absolute picture. And the weed control, although I know we've got this second flush coming, there's no sort of black grass sort of coming above the plants. This all looks good, but it needs to be good. I'm going to show you a Farmers Weekly that arrived yesterday, and now we'll just talk about prices for the 23 harvest, because it's got all farmers very worried. Page I wanted to show you is this front page, because this just market at a glance, and you look at it each day and each week it comes through, and the change over last year. So this end column is 1 year ago, and this first column is this week. So if I look at feed wheat, this time last year, £326 a tonne. This week, £180. Milling wheat, 353, 249. There's actually quite a premium on milling wheat because there wasn't much produced last year. Feed barley is right down in the dumps, 304 this time last year, 164 this year. And oilseed rape is the big four, £819 this time last year. This year, £331. Nearly £500 a tonne less than it was last year. And the trouble was, I decided what I was going to grow, as all farmers generally do, about this time next year. And then you plant the crop in September, October, or in oilseed rape's case, August, and you're stuffed at that point. You can't say, oh, I've planted the wrong thing, I'll rip that out and put something else in. You've got to continue with that crop. You can only make a change for the following harvest. But none of us envisaged prices was going to drop that fast. And we had to pay inflated prices for the fertiliser. We're paying much higher prices for the fungicides and sprays this year, but we've seen the prices of the end commodity when we put the combine in and sell this off the combine nearly halve, and that's going to test all arable farm profitability together with the area payments coming down as well. Those area payments gave us a buffer, so when we got a year like this, well, at least we're getting the area payment, we can get through, we've got that payment. With them going away, the arable farmer in the UK is saying, hang on a minute, I've got so much risk to plant a crop because I don't know what's going to happen. We've got such volatility in the market. I can't risk this as a farm business. I've got to have something much more stable, so that everybody's dashing around trying to find off-farm activity to bring some income in. That we have to plant something, and it does look increasingly as though we're going to environmental, which I mentioned on the previous video, but I haven't started to plan that because of everything going on. Over the next month or so, I'm going to look at that, of what we're going to do. And I've also sold everything this year on what is termed a pool. And I do this quite regularly. Unfortunately, I didn't do it last year. I wish I had, because I got even better prices. But a pool, I say to the grain merchant, this is the area I'm growing. I sort of expect to produce this. You market it to your best of ability and get me the best price I can. So I do that a year in advance, and then it's up to the grain merchant to do what will. He knows he's got roughly 10,000 tonnes of wheat, say, from his committed growers, and he will market it at the time he thinks the market, should be selling. So it's their risk, not mine. And genuinely, I found they've actually done very well. They're always above what I was achieving trying to pick what the best market was. So anyway, I don't actually know the selling price because I'm in this pool. But yeah, whole state of change. And the thing with the arable farmer, it's a yearly cycle, and some sectors in agriculture can move much quicker, and that's why you suddenly saw the lettuce grows and salad type grows in the winter say, no, we're not producing any, and that's why supermarkets suddenly all the shelves ran out because they had to dash off to Europe and Morocco to try and find a replacement, because the lead up time to producing salad is weeks. It's not a year as it is in arable. And also the same with eggs. We produce 25% less eggs in the UK than we did this time last year, because egg producers say, right, I'm not buying any more chickens, and go out of the market much quicker. So dairy is another one. They would like to be out of a dairy because they're not actually getting the price that they need to be able to continue. But the arable farmer, it's a yearly cycle, so this time next year will be very interesting of how much of the land is cropped in arable crops and how much has gone into environmental crops. We won't know until this time next year, but I think there might be quite a change. The other thing that's been happening on the farm while I've been away is the cattle are here, and if we actually go and I just went down to that field over just the other side of this one behind that wood, and they're all there very happy, and they're organic cattle brought in by David New, who's basically a tenant of mine. He comes in and does all the grassland, but they're having a better time of it. Actually, beef prices have moved up, and because he's grass fed, he's not as affected by the higher price of grains, because he's not feeding grain, he's just purely eating his cattle purely eat grass, and all this rain there's lots of grass, so his production costs are relatively low, but the price of beef is high, so he's having a good time of it at the moment. And that's always the way in farming, there's always a mix. One sector's doing better and one's doing worse, and that's why you always try and have a mixed farm rather than just betting everything on one thing. So there we go, another catch up on Harry's farm. It sort of superficially looks great because I've got this fantastic looking wheat, and if I look in the right places, obviously the rape looks okay as well. It's behind, when you peek behind the curtains and look at the profitability, it all goes wrong. I think I mentioned this time last year I thought I was going to make about 26,000 on the gross profit. That went down to about 12. I think in the last report it was £2,000 profit because the prices had dropped to £200. Today at £170, that 2,000 profit has turned into 12,000 loss. So I've had a 38,000 drop just in the budget in the period between October and now. but I don't know until I get to harvest. There's the ups and downs of farming in the UK. It's always been like this. My dear wife is used to me saying, oh, it's a disaster. Oh, it's all right actually. But I think this year is a very interesting and a very testing one. Anyway, there's a catch up on Harry's farm. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, well, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.